Okay, Carlos, everybody, I'm going to explain how these non-Dom VWAPs, okay, right here, non-VWAP bands, okay, how do these levels affect price over here? Well, first off, we are trading in these levels now. This is the range, okay? Since we couldn't hold here, okay, look, this was VWAP. This is VWAP. Since we couldn't hold VWAP, where do we go? We grind down here. Now, when you're grinding down here, you usually get a good bounce right about 61.8% of the way down. See? Boom, bounce, boom, bounce. We're coming down into a bounce area. Now, since these bounce zones have already been tested in the past, look, 1, 2 already, this will be the third time. It may not respect this 61% the way down right now because it's already been tested 1, 2 times, almost 3 here. Okay, so this could actually, since this area has already been tested twice, could easily come down into this area, 25% of the way down. Okay, because usually the best bounce to get a little pullback or bounce back is going to be either 25% of the way down or, wait, you guessed it, 61.8. Okay, these levels are going to be your bouncers. Now look, if we look left, watch what happens when we look left. I bet you there's going to be a liquidity zone there when we look left here. Let's see. Always is. Boom! Liquidity zone right here. Look at this, okay? This is a liquidity zone. This was resistance. Couldn't get above, fell. Couldn't get above, fell. Couldn't get above, almost did, fell. What happened? We broke through it. Now we come down. Boom. This is your resistance here now becomes your support here. Fast forward. Now this will be the first time when price comes down to here, the first time it tests right here, you have a higher probability of getting a bounce back up. Okay? Much higher probability. The second time, you still get a pretty good probability, but not as much. Okay? The second time it's coming down, it's less of a probability, but most likely it usually happens or right around here. You know, maybe a little lower or there or whatever, as it did kind of right here. Okay? Now, if we are trading today, okay, what I always do is I'll mark my level right there, just underneath the top, okay? And I'll make this a dark blue line. Okay. And then I'll also do something like this. I can even use this line. Let's see. I'll do something right here. Now check this out, game. Anytime we crack below this line, you are going to drop, man. It just is what it is. It happens 100% of the time. Anytime you bust above this line, this is the 720. We were talking about this. You will go to 780 here. And then this is the real blue line. Okay, when we map back this way right here. Boom. This is the real. So we're going to get a squeeze up and really start to go up. Like really, like have a nice squeeze up, like for sure, 100% chance. It happens every time. Then you got to get past this line right here. Boom. Is it possible that price gets past this line right here and then falls back into this range? If price falls back into this range, bets off, buddy. Okay. It's when you get here maybe you fall down, maybe go a little under, but you power back up. You're not falling back more, than halfway, and also being in here a long time. Like coming down, you're out of here quick, okay? You ain't gonna be in this area that long. You're getting out of it, and that's how you know you're getting that boost. And like I said, 100% of the time when you do that, when you bounce out of here, you're going. If you bounce out and come back in real quick, you ain't. Okay? That's all there is to it. You're back in this range. It's when you're above this line, you go. You shoot. 100% of the time. Okay, let's back test it. So let's go to the 5-minute. Okay. So look, if we had a line right here, what happened? Okay. We went below that line and look, price dropped. How many points? 643 to 556. And this one was 575. So you do the math. That's 100 points right there, man, pretty much. More, when you count into those zones. So let's check. Every time you go below here, boom, drop. Okay. What happened when we went below here? Boom, drop. Let's look over here. What happens when we get above this price right here? Look, boom, pop. What happens when you get above right here? Look over. Let's zoom in. What happens when you get above this area right here? Boom, pop. You always pop minimum 50 to 200, sometimes 300, 400 points maybe, okay? But if you count here, this was a big one. This was what? 745, and it went all the way up to 823. That's almost 100 points. Almost 100 points right there. Okay, let's do this one. The minute you popped above this, if we were to put a blue line right here, okay, the minute you pop above that blue line. Now see, look, if we look at this, look, we pop up, you didn't stay long, you shot right back down quick. Okay, same thing here. Look, you pop up, it looks like you're gonna go, boom, shot right back down, got back in the range. It's not until you pop up and you don't get back down in here. Okay, if you do, sometimes I see it get a little and just power up. Okay, but you're not. If you do pop up in here, you're gonna stay above this orange line, the 21. Okay, you're gonna stay above this orange. You ain't gonna get below it. And this one, when he popped up, he didn't get below this blue one. What is this? This is the 9. He didn't get below the 9 on that one. Okay, so how many points is that? Look, 830 to 914. So that's almost a 100-point move. Again, almost a 100-point move. I'm telling you, 50 to 200 points you get on those. Okay. Now this, look, what happened here? What happened when we broke under this area? We dropped. Boom. Look, here, couldn't hold. But this one right here, look, we drop. It couldn't hold. This thing fall. How many points is that? 848 to 20. That's like a 30-pointer. It wasn't that much on this first one, on this first initial. You got 30 points on that. Okay. But on this second one, we got back up in the range. It didn't hold. On this second one, when we couldn't get back up above here, let me make a blue line here. When we couldn't get back up above into this range, look what happened now. Let's count these points. We got down, so we got back up in the range. Look what happens when you drop and you come back and you can't get back up in here. He tried, couldn't even reach this zone. He couldn't even get past the 50 here. Okay, how many points do you drop here from this one? Boom, let's see. 847 to, oh, by golly. Look at that, 651. 840, that's like 200 some points. Okay. Shoot. That's what I'm talking about. And it happened every single time. Look at this one. Let's see. We drop out of it. We couldn't get above for sure. Okay. And this is at 641. Okay. Say you don't even notice it until you get here. Okay. Like, oh, we're below that blue spot, and you just finally notice it, right? We're below the lowest previous day band. Okay. Great. Well, let's see how many points we get from here. So we got 631, 2, sheesh, 429, 4, 5, 6, shoot, like another 200 points right there. And that's when you finally realize it, like, oh, I'm trading. Why are we? Oh, we're going to keep dropping. Yeah, we are. Look, we're below here. Look at this, drop all the way down. Okay. Look, this thing even come up right here. Boom. Once you get back up in this range right here, look. The minute you get back up in this range when you're dropping, okay, when you're dropping here, the minute you get back up in the range, it's all game over. In order for this thing to keep coming down here, okay, you can't get back up in this range. You have to know you cannot get back up in this range. You have to stall. You need to be stalled. The minute you're getting here and you're getting all this power above in this area right here, and you're getting back up above this band, this purple band, okay, that should tell you like, okay, yeah, we broke past this band. Because the minute you break past this purple band here, this is where I would have been getting out, okay, because the minute you break past this purple band and you hold, and then you realize, look, you're in this, back up in this range right here, from here to here, okay, I'm automatically going to assume, boom, I'm coming up to this blue line, at least this, around this blue line, at least. And look, it did. That went over it, broke it, and got above it. The minute you break above this blue line, you're squeezing here. Then this upper VWAP band becomes like the 9-day moving average, and you're just bouncing on it. So this is actually like where you want to take buys, right around or a little bit underneath this line when you pop above it. If you want to catch the squeeze, never try to catch it up here. Wait for it to come back down to this line and then ride it. And then the minute you crack underneath it, okay, and you're getting weak, look, this area, this candle is a good entry to start getting in, because now you're dropping underneath, and then boom, you have a full close under here. So you're going to start to come back down because you can't get back up above this line. Now, if you come here like this and you break up and you break back up above this blue line, get out on your short, because then you're going again. Okay. You definitely want to make sure that you get this rejection here. You don't want to be cracking through these lines like this and getting back up. Because the minute you crack through this line, then there's a high probability it's just going to, keep going like this. This is probably what that was. It was just cracking through this line and doing all this stuff right here, in this period. Then it come down. It's like cracking through the line, cracking. Then finally, you get this candle. Okay. And it looks better on the 1 minute. Let me get this to the 1 minute. Gonna look a lot better. You're gonna identify it a lot faster, the issue here. Okay, so on the 1 minute, look, you're riding it, you're riding it as 9, but see, it starts to get weak, bounce on the 9. This right here, when you see that, boom, it doesn't even wick through. Okay, it doesn't even wick through. This would have been like my short entry, because I know like we're a little bit higher than here. We didn't wick through. This is a good sell, and it made the perfect pattern, and in this area right here would have been where you kind of want to get out of that sell and be careful, because this is where it could go pop right back up. So it's not until you start to see this right here, and then we're breaking underneath this purple line, then like, oh shoot, we're gonna be, we could get down here, and then it does all this where it can't get over all these lines. When I'm in sales, I love seeing this, because if you're in a good sell, your wicks are not going to get past the 50. And in an extremely good sell, your wicks are not going to get past the 9, and then the 21, and then the 50, which is the red. Okay, but sometimes, you'll wick up close to the purple. Probably the purple line was right exactly here at one point. Okay, but as the day progressed, actually this purple line actually could have been, a little bit, could have been like right here, actually perfectly. Yeah. But as you see, your wicks don't get through here, and the minute they start to get a little through, they start to show like, okay, maybe soon, it's going to start to get some strength again, but look, boom, boom. Then we break this low. Look, that you break that, you're going to flush a little bit more. And then where do we hit off of? This is the oversold territory. I always like the second bounce here, like this. I probably got a long here. Okay, I love these second bounces because usually they keep going. But if you can't even get past the 9 or the 21, obviously they're not going to keep going. If you're doing this thing like this, you're already starting to realize like this thing is not going to be able to get up. It's just not going to do it. So then your last hope is for this second bounce to try to get up and go. But look what happens. You just stop out and you start doing this again. Oh, heck no. By that point, you should already know what time it is. Like, that ain't going to work this time. And then you can actually probably try to put a short in and then maybe a stop like up here, like right above here. And that would be perfect with this line. Okay, because if it does come, it could come all the way up into here and then fall. Because this is where it likes to magnetize from here to here. Okay, from here to 61.8. 61.8% here to here. Boom. Couldn't even get 60. Couldn't even get back up here. Okay. And when you're in this to this zone like this, you're in downtrend. Always. On these, this is the lower middle VWAP and the lowest VWAP. Okay. So you got lowest VWAP, lower middle VWAP. You got middle VWAP, upper middle, and higher VWAP. Okay, that's how I gauge them. So higher VWAP, upper middle VWAP, middle VWAP, lower middle VWAP, lowest VWAP. Okay, lower VWAP, lowest. Okay, and that's how I gauge it. And then, obviously, when we get under this is squeeze. And then remember, we use this as like the 9-day moving average, like boom, reject, boom. When you get a clean rejection like this, and it wicks up real fast and price comes back down real quick, this is how you know it's super bearish. You can't even get above the lowest VWAP. Like, that's insane. You know it's going to be super bearish, and it is. Look, it dwindled all the way down here. Like, that's super bearish, this right here. This, you should know, like, this is just way too bearish. Now, look, you try to get above a little bit right here, but just couldn't. You couldn't get past the 50. You're staying here. So as long as you're not getting past the 50 and getting support, there's no way that you can magnetize up here. You have to get above here to magnetize up here. Have to. Because each thing is like a zone. And when you get all these lines, say all these red lines are right here, then this is the hard zone to get through. But once you can get through it, boom, that's where you're going. Once you can get through it, boom, that's where you're going. That's where you're magnetizing. But all these lines right here, it don't know which way it's going. It's trying to figure out. Okay? Trying to figure out. You can't. So you always got to stick to this trend right here. You always look here to here, trend. You already know. This will always be in a downtrend when you're in these two zones, always. You know, if you're flowing up here like this, all these lines are going to be like probably right here. And you'll be still coming down. Boom, 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 boom. Now look, come up here, same thing. When you start a new day, you still got to play in this zone right here. So you price start, this is your zone right here to here. You're still playing this zone and this zone when it just starts out. It comes down, it bounces, it goes up, okay, comes down, and now it's on the uptrend because look, everything's moving upward now, and price is getting above the 50. Look, price is above the 50. So now look, if we're above the 50, then we're trending upwards now. Now we're trending up. We're above the 21. We're trending up. And now look, you're in the upper 2 VWAP bands. Anytime you're in the upper 2 VWAP bands, even if you come a little bit out, 25% of the way out, that's fine. You're going to trend up always. Always trend up in these two upper bands. Okay, you always trend up that way. And this crap right here, this is the worst. When you get in between these bands right here, when you start to get in, because they're so spread out, it's not that bad. But when they're closer together, this is where you always chop right here in between these bands. And look at this. This was the chop right here. I don't like the trade in this, like in here. I don't like the trade. This is the worst kind of time to be trading right here. This is a chop. Okay, then it breaks out, it fakes one way up here, and then boom, shoots you all the way back down. And that's another pattern that I love to see too, is like where you get something like this. I love this pattern where you get something like that right there. You get all these, okay, you get all these, look, 1, 2, 3, okay, almost 4, 5 right here. You had one breakout, and then you fast forward, and then you get another one that didn't get above here. But then on that next one that comes up here, man, I'm starting to look for shorts, man. On the next candle that makes a lower high, okay, I'm always looking, because this, we finally got above here by a tench, okay, and then it drops back down into this range, and you already know this is the short. And as long as we don't hold here, I mean, we're going to keep going. This could be the bounce where it bounces, or obviously if you can't hold, flush. And then now this becomes the resistance. Dun, 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 dun. Pop out of it. You make it all the way up, almost out of this box, and then right back down, held support, try to come up, hit support. You see, these are your magnets. Magnet, couldn't hold, went 25% of the way down, magnet, boom, back up, magnetize even more, like these are all your magnets. Once you get past here, boom, magnetize up here. Come down, boom. You can't hold this, where are you going to go? You're going to magnetize back down here, or down here, or down there. It's one magnet to the next. Okay, one magnet to the next. Now in this situation, you know what I'm trading the minute I know we drop from here, okay, and we can't hold here, I'm automatically looking to come down into this area. I would be expecting a pop right here, but if it couldn't make it over my moving averages, shoot, I'm holding all the way down into here to see if it's going to hold right around here. Because if it doesn't, then what? It's going to keep magnetizing to here. And then if it can't hold here, boom, rejection, then back to here, to these zones. And you play these zones, zoom, zoom, zoom. And that's kind of what I'm looking at when I'm trading these zones. And if I'm looking at a trend, then I know I'm in these lower two zones going down. If I'm looking at a downtrend, then I know we got to be in these two zones. If I'm looking at an uptrend, then I know I need to be in these upper two zones, okay, to uptrend. And then if we're ranging, where do we stay? Right here. Boom. Right here. You're right here ranging until you, boom, break out. Down or up or down. That's it. So just know that is a strategy that, can keep you paid and keeps me paid and is going to make me a millionaire one day. Okay, just that. Now, if we want to take it a step further, because there's always more and more and more and more and more, okay, what you want to do, this is what you want to do. You want to get your fib. Okay. And let's get a zoom in to make sure we're on the right spot. Yeah, right there. Right here. Okay. Now look. Hit the 61.8. Okay. This is a very important area right here. Why? Because if we get above the 595 or 593, okay, if you get above here, you always go up. Okay, this is a decider. If you can't hold above here, okay, since we're in this range right now, okay, if we can't hold above this area right now, we are gonna go down. We will come down. We'll keep coming down until we find a support to get back above here. And if we don't find a support, then we're just gonna keep coming down. This is a very important level right now, 61.8. Okay, this level's key. Okay, if you're below this level right now, in this point in time, we are going down. Okay, can price just chop like this and mess around for a while? Yeah, because I don't know what it's going to do until it picks a direction. Okay, and then this zone, okay, remember these zones, if we break down out of these zones, we are flushing, man. We will flush. From here, you can expect to come down into here, but most likely I'm going to be betting that, we either come into here or right into here. 25% below here or here. If we break here, I'm betting that we come here or there. Okay, so you can even put your little bounce areas. Okay, and why do I say here? Well, because that's about 25% of the way down. If you do this, here, let's do it like this. If you do something like this, okay, even 38% of the way down, if we do something right here, these are your bounce areas, like right around 23.6, 38.2. This is where you bounce, or okay, you come right in here to this one, right around this spot right here, 81.2, before you get that bounce. Okay, that's why I picked these areas. These are your bounce levels. Boom, boom. Because obviously if you get down into here, okay, this is even a better bounce level. You get down into here, I'll add here, add another one here, boom. And then my stop's here, underneath here. Because the minute we crack under here, I ain't playing that. Just stop me out. I'll look for the setup to make my money, going down if that's the case. But typically on the first time we get into this zone, it majority of the time it hits. Not 100%, but majority. 100% of the time once we drop under here, we hit. 100%. Happens every time. Okay? But that's why I pick my zones, okay? And if you look, let's backtrack. Let's see what happens when we get into those zones. Let's see. Look, let's zoom in. And let's look on the 1 minute, because that's what I like about this, is that they don't move. Okay, they stay at the same price when you go to the 1 minute too. So let's see, if you look at the 1 minute here, let's see, the first time we got into this zone was here. The first time we got into this zone, the very first time we retested this zone, look, we probably went about, how far is that? How far is that down? 23% of the way down? Let's see. Let's do the math. Okay. We'll do it the other way. Boom. Boom. This was about 25% of the way down. Boom. Okay. And it, boom, held, made a higher low, whatever, went back up, whatever. This is crap trade to be trading anyways, chop. But then the next time, look, it went down 61.8% of the way down. Boom. Boom. So the second time, okay, the second real time we come down and tested, it went down to 61.8. And then the third time, look, it didn't even respect it the third time, just flush, it just kept coming down. And so the more you keep coming down, okay, and that's why I just said that in the past. By the third time you're retesting right here, these zones they don't hit as much, okay, because it's already been tested. Look, 1, 2. Okay, it's already been tested. 1, 2. From this point, look, we went up, 1, 2, went up, came back down. It's already been tested, so it's weak. Those are things you got to keep in mind when you're trading this stuff. Okay, how many times have it been tested? Where's my where am I at on the fib on in this range? Okay, and you always gotta have your range in your fib. Okay, you always got to know where you're at on that mark, because if you're trading this and you're not mapping the last drop, this drop to this drop, you're not mapping it, okay, then you're missing out on these levels, these bounce levels that are here. You're really missing out on these bounce levels, okay, and these are good bounce levels. You don't want to pass that up. That's how you can tell where you're going to get your bounces, okay? These are where you're going to get your bounces. Okay, so you come down, boom, you get a little bounce. You come down here, you could get a little bounce. I'm not saying you will, but you could, so keep that in mind. I would wait for this zone right here. From this level, I would assume, we come down, but you could get a bounce all the way back up to like this line and go, maybe this line is like curling down in that way, and you bounce up right here and then you come back down, and then once you get here, this is going to be, a good area. This is where I would look for a buy right here. Boom. And ride it up to this line. And if we get above it, shoot, I'm holding. And then you hold it and you keep going. Okay. And then your next bounce area is going to be right there. Boom. This is going to be a good bounce area right there, right around this zone. I'm looking for buys right around here, man. Okay, not here, not here. I don't care about here. This is still flushing. If you do get a buy here, okay, if you do want to try to get a buy here, have a tight stop, okay, and just, ride it real quick, be in and out, because most likely you're getting down into here, most likely. Okay. That's all there is to it. Now, if you look on the big scheme of things, you go to the 1 hour. This is another thing that you really don't want to miss when you're trading these zones right here. So if we go to the 6 o'clock candle, okay, where's the 6 o'clock candle? I think it was right here. No, that's 10. Okay, we go to the 10. Okay, so now I'm going to move my 10 a.m. to there. Boom. This was my 10 a.m. Okay, so I'm going to move that there because this is my new range, my new zone right here. And then I'm going to, where's the 6 a.m. candle? Right there. There's the 6 a.m. right there. Okay, then I'm going to move that. And I'm going to change the color. I like my 6 a.m. to be orange. 6 and 10 a.m. to be orange. Okay, let me turn that up. Make that bigger because, let me explain this, guys. These are also very important zones. If we get above, there's another thing to look for. Once we get above this zone right here, and look at where this zone is too, the same zone I was already mapping out, 25,590. Boom. Right here at the 6 a.m. That's a 61.8. We get above, guess what? Boom, you go up. That's true. And usually when you break up above these zones, and sometimes they don't map out perfectly like this. Okay? But when you get above this zone, what happens? You come all the way up to this zone, or a little bit lower or a little bit higher. You always do. And if you hold support here, boom, you keep going. Okay? And that's your 6. And you always want to mark the high, if your 6 a.m. candle, if this was my 6 a.m. candle, I will always want to mark the high of my 6 a.m. candle. Okay? You always want to mark the high. I like to mark the high. Okay? The high, and the low. Okay, so now what? Always mark those. Okay? And these zones are good for 2 days. Okay, so last night, Friday or whatever. What's today? Yeah, Friday session. Okay, they still work. Friday session, whatever 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. were for Friday, those zones work. Okay, I probably have them mapped out here. If we look, let's see. They work for 2 days. 2 days, but I think we're like way past that area right there. 6, 4, 8, 6 right here, 6 a.m. So yeah, I do have that zone map right there. And that's where that 6 a.m. candle is. And then where's the 10 a.m. right there. And I do have that mapped right there. And that's funny because look, now we're in their 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. zone right now. That's where we're ranging right now. We're in the range of the 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. zone for, what was that? For 1231. 12, no, we need a 1, 2. Shoot, we're still in it for 1231. It's still playing the pack. Hold on, what's this one? Let's see, 10 a.m., 6 a.m. here. 6. So look, 6 a.m., look, yep. Shoot, man, we're still right around these same zones from 3 trading days back now. So here, look, 6 a.m., boom. Okay, you can't hold above this, and what happens? You flush down to this zone or more. Okay, and then where's the 10 a.m.? 10. Ooh. So let's go. Yep, there it is, right there. 10 a.m. This zone. Okay, yeah, I don't have that level marked right now. Maybe we do something like that, and then we can mark it. I use different colors for different days, but I still have them like dotted to let me know where my 6 and 10 a.m. zones were. Okay, so those are your zones, guys. These are bounce levels. This is how you can map out, how the market's gonna move, because it's gonna move in these zones. Okay, here, shoots up to here, shoots down to here. These are the gaps. These are the, where it moves in between these zones, like that. These are the movements. Okay, these are the supports and resistance. And remember when we're looking at this, and this is looking like range. Look, we're coming where? Right up to our zone. This is our resistance zone right here. Right at our resistance zone. This is a good zone to short right here. Okay, so let's play this short out. Okay, let's get this short. Okay. In fact, let's make this a power play real quick. Boom, 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 boom. And look, we tested here a couple times. The next time we come down here, what's going to happen? Flush. Come down to 50. But anyway, so you get the picture. That's the video there, okay? I'm going to send it to you. I hope you guys watch this. I hope it makes sense. I'm going to post this on YouTube, so if you guys have questions, let me know. If I didn't explain something clearly or forgot something, I'm human, just let me know. And that's my strategy. That's one main thing that I'm looking at when I'm trading. I mean, obviously there's more things. There's more, nuts to the bolt here when you're trading, but that's the main thing. Okay, that's the main thing that I'm looking for when I'm trading. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.